We'd like to welcome our special guest today, Kent Robey. Kent is head of emergency management services for the Bedford County. Welcome to the program, Kent.
Thank you, Brian.
I'm excited about having you on, not for the reasons
Yeah.
of it for, but I just, you were the first person I thought of. I was coming back from the beach and I was like, oh, man, I need to talk to Ken about this because everybody's got all these questions. And I'm like, you know what? I don't want to hear Jesse Waters tell me about, something. I want to hear from people that know. So I'm so excited that you're here. Um, let's dabble into it a little bit. Your background, you have worked on from different aspects, where there details with Secret Service, right?
Right.
Give me a little bit of background of what you've done in the past, and then we'll dive into some questions.
Well, it was to start. It was 2001, June 2001.
Yes.
We did. I was a lieutenant then with the sheriff's office, and I was in charge of all field operations and tactical stuff, and planning special events. So I was put in charge of President Bush's visit to D-Day, and our work began. They're still building D-Day back then.
Mm-hmm.
And our work began probably 8 months out.
Oh, wow.
And that's where I developed a friendship. And I won't mention his name because he's still in the mix with the Secret Service.
Sure.
But him and I became very close friends for 8 months, in and out. Every time something changed up there, we were up there. And we were mainly concerned about, the placement of, I had 125 law enforcement assigned to me, from the state police to the sheriff's office, town police. Actually, back then, the game commission were a great help, and they still are today. But we used every tool in the toolbox that we could. And like I said, I started with the rack in Roanoke, and we started pre-planning until the advance team gets there 2 or 3 weeks before the visit.
Mm-hmm.
Developed some friendships on that as well. So I basically had to draw up the plan for all the locals. And what disturbed me the most when I got that call from my buddy in D.C., who is a Secret Service agent,
Yeah.
He was on CAT. He had been on Trump's detail while he was president. He said, "Hey, man, you watching the news?" And I was, "No."
Mm.
And I turned it on. I was like, within 2 minutes, I told him on that phone, I said, why didn't they cover that high ground? That was a big deal here in Bedford. And I'll
Right.
say that because they had me put an officer at the fire tower over there on
Good
Reservoir.
Lord. Yeah.
You know how far away that
Oh,
is?
yeah. Yeah.
Because I had taken agents up there, the RAC and myself had went up there as well. And you could have taken a shot to the Overlord if you were that good.
Mm-hmm.
So they made me, that was the furthest out high ground that we had to put. And we literally went around that whole place. And even if it was a question, if it was high ground, we put an officer there. There wasn't none of this, well, let's stick them in the building.
Mm.
No, we put them higher, as high as we could.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I can remember there was some construction trailers there. We even put them on there.
So for our audience, a lot of these people may not know. So what's great about your position with Bedford County with emergency management services, a lot of people always ask questions. Well, there was a miscommunication here or the miscommunication there. That's what I like about Bedford County being sort of proactive, because all localities don't have this, right?
No, I was very just, both of my buddy and I were just dumbfounded that you have all these briefings and you're told exactly what to do. And I still don't understand. It's still an investigation. I got it.
Yeah.
Because I've heard about the ladder. I've heard about climbing on the air condition. I've heard about the TAC teams. The TAC team assigned to that building was inside the building. I find that hard to believe.
I do.
I'm not saying it didn't happen.
Right.
And I'm not saying, because we did have some personnel in the construction trailers, but they were due to respond to the crowd. And it was just outside of where everybody sits at D-Day.
Mm-hmm.
But we still had people on the high ground.
Sure, yeah.
And the other thing that the agent told me was they had cut his staff. I don't care about the Iranian.
It had to be.
He didn't have the protection that he had early on. And I know during President Bush's visit, we had three counter sniper teams,
Mhm.
and they were placed in the very best positions to not only cover the motorcade coming up that hill, but to cover anything within the crowd. And then the state police TAC team and my TAC team covered everything else.
Mhm.
And we knew our field of fire, so to say. We were responsible for certain areas. So, with that said, I think it was only 2 sniper teams I've heard of that was on that
Correct.
site.
Yeah.
That's not enough for a crowd that big.
Yeah, exactly.
And I realized that was a rural type environment. But man, come on. You only had a couple buildings, and this slope excuse
Yeah.
is
I don't understand.
unbelievable.
We're gonna get into that in a minute. But I want to understand. So you have, for Bedford County, you're the point man when all these different agencies are together, right? You have to make sure that they're all talking the same language. Is that
I'm in on these briefings. It might be that like this past D-Day.
yes?
Give you an example.
With Governor Youngkin being here.
Yeah. So, and even with Pence, that is the town's jurisdiction,
Okay.
and that's the way it should be. Back in the day, uh, no one wanted that responsibility
Sure.
of planning that. So I stepped up and said, "I'll take it.
Yeah.
We'll do it," knowing that I still had to work with the chief, and it's
Right.
his jurisdiction, and I still gave him opportunity to put his men where he wanted to put them. This last D-Day, or Shannon Walker, we both worked together, and it was his deal. I'm not going to reinvent the wheel. He'd already done the Pence visit. We looked at it.
Yep.
We were preparing for a Secret Service event. Thank God it didn't happen, because it's a strain.
Sure.
It's a lot of work, and it's a lot of manpower that goes into it, and you have to do it their way.
Sure.
They have the call. It's not
Okay.
like, the sheriff can go, well, I'm going to put my guys on over here.
Right.
Everything on my plan when Bush was here had to be approved not only by the RAC in Roanoke, but the advanced team supervisor.
Now, what's the rack in Roanoke? Just for layman people.
It's a regional. It's a smaller Secret Service office.
Okay.
They only have like 3 or 4 guys, and they might have more today, but back then it was only 3, I think.
All right.
And they work their cases.
Okay.
And normally it's counterfeit, and then they assist the locals, and
So in Pennsylvania, they know this visit's happening, right? And so you had local law enforcement, and now you have Secret Service. But everything is Secret Service the point on this.
absolutely,
It's their plan. It's their
absolutely.
okay.
They got to.
So that's where the failures happened. So because I've heard Secret Service blame local, and I'm like, all right, somebody has to be at the top.
The thing is, the Secret Service might have told the locals that's your building,
Right.
and just like my visit, they can't cover everything.
Sure.
So I supplemented what they needed covered, and I didn't deviate off that plan. If they told me I needed, at the time I had 13 dog teams, because it was very heavily wooded up there, and I showed them where I'm putting these dogs, and they were out of sight, but they were in the way that they could protect that layer of protection. We had layers of protection. You had to get through this to get to that to get to this, and there's a point you shouldn't have got to if you had all these layers. But ultimately, you can't go off in left field, sheriff or chief, and say, you know what, it's hot. You guys just stay in here.
Right. No.
I just it's hard to comprehend why at least somebody wasn't perched on top of that building, or they didn't have a sniper team covering that building and watching it.
All right. So for your many years of service that you had in D.C., is the incompetency at the top level, and I don't even know her name, the director, but just in the interviews that I've seen twice, I can't. Is it DEI? What is driving the incompetency at that level? You've got to have the. I think we all can agree the people that are protecting the president are phenomenal people.
Absolutely.
But somewhere something is going wrong for this to be able to happen like this.
I will just tell you what I was told. This is not necessarily my belief, but it is happening, and I watched it happen in the agency I just came from. When a director or assistant director walks in and says, I want 30% of my force being females.
Yes.
And this is not
Correct.
nothing. She said it.
Yeah.
She absolutely said it.
Absolutely. Yes.
That's discriminatory to every
Yes.
race, gender.
You've worked hard to
whatever.
get there. Yes.
And it's like the agent told me. I didn't even know that until he told me, and I got to digging, and she did say it.
Sure.
And he told me, he was like, look, I said, so we had the problem in my old agency of doing the same thing, but once we got certain females on the range, they couldn't shoot.
Yes.
They couldn't do certain things.
Sure.
And I'll quote him in saying, this is not, you can't put the JV team up there for this.
Exactly.
I mean, President Bush shouldn't have got the B or C team.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying he did, but what I'm saying is you can't make statements like that and drop the standards. We didn't. I'll be honest with you, we didn't. We put those females through extra training,
Sure.
and we got them there.
Yeah.
But we didn't push them through just because of their gender or color of their skin.
That's right.
And so, to me, that's what has hampered, the protectees are they getting the A team?
Yeah.
And I'm not saying a certain president should be A team, another one should be. They all should be A team.
That's right.
It's the point and the goal of the task, right? I mean,
yes.
It's because if it fails, the worst scenario could happen.
I think that's the thing. We say it all the time. I'm surprised it doesn't happen more often. And it is a credit to just how phenomenal these agencies are because they get it right 99.9% of the time, right?
Yeah.
But when this happened the other night, it was such gross negligence at the point where even I, who is nowhere near the know that you're in, something is wrong. It's all wrong. I mean, I keep seeing videos of them trying to bust through a fence.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how is that not already?
Yeah.
I got a general question. So what you just described, and it sounds like a Herculean effort, right? So you had an event and you've got all that organization and it was 8 months before, and then 2 weeks before other guys show up. That's a coordinated event. And when you think about the big picture of things, that was your one event.
Yes.
Trump did that one event, but he had just done something the Thursday
Right.
before, and then he did something the Tuesday. They're doing that every single day. Do they put that much effort in every single one of those? And could they have just gotten relaxed because they do it so much?
No.
Yeah, that's what I'm asking.
No,
Is it that intense? I mean, that's impressive, but
yeah. When you do, most of those are like they're. If you've done a bunch of them, they're all ran the same.
Mhm.
Okay, guys, here's what we got to do.
Yeah.
High ground, got this. Close off that. This person's not, get the mags up. It's basically, the same thing at every event. It's not like it depends on the amount you're expecting. We were planning for 10,000 to 15,000 at D-Day.
Mhm.
It's always and I've heard 30 at this
Yeah.
30,000.
Yeah.
I don't know. Sometimes these places surprise them,
Sure.
but they try to plan for the worst and hope, that it's covered. I think and I've worked with these guys, the CAT team guys are all jacked up. Those are the guys that came in. They did what they were supposed to do
Yes.
with the high-powered rifles and cover the crowd. It is very intense for them. I mean, their job is for that man or woman to never catch a bullet. And that's not like your normal law enforcement where they're focused on, okay, this is our building. This is all we got to worry about. They're all jacked up.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's that intense every day. Every time they go somewhere, it's that kind of effort goes.
Yeah, I would
into
say
every single one.
I mean, the guy who was in charge, who was working with me at D-Day, he even told me, he goes, Kent, this is a great plan, and you've worked very hard on it. Do not get your feelings hurt when they walk in here and trash it. There's a really good chance, and 80% of the time they trash it.
Yeah.
And the only thing they did do is they moved our TAC teams out from underneath that shower, that restroom area behind where President Bush was, and they put their CAT team guys in there. I didn't get hurt feelings over that. We moved with the state team down to the elementary school to cover the protesters and the motorcade coming up, and then my TAC team was over in one of the construction trailers off to the side, and we were to respond to a certain area.
Yeah.
And these type of things, you do what you're told.
Mm-hmm.
You don't go out in left field, and that's one thing I reiterated to the 125 officers working.
Yeah.
And it all went well, but I don't know what happened there.
Now, there's
I
so
hope
many
that-
layers. Like,
Yes.
it's just the roof is one thing. If that was the only thing, it's not. It's so many. They encountered him 30 minutes.
I was going
prior?
to say that when we had two that we encountered at D-Day. One tried to get into the lower side there to the right of D-Day through the wooded area. And one actually got off the bus. And he was acting strange on the bus. That was communicated. Our team caught him between the bus and the mags. And he was not allowed to come in. If we even had a suspicion or you were acting, you're not coming in, period.
Yeah, period.
You're not coming in, and we're going to take you. And we took that guy to the PD and held him until the event was over with because we didn't know where to take him or what to do with him. He wasn't from around here. And we won't turn him loose back, even though we had these layers. That's another failure that I don't understand.
That's what I'm saying. There's so many.
Yeah.
We've all seen the video that it seems like the people that seem to be more worried about a guy on a roof are Trump supporters, and you can hear them telling cops how kind of a relay would it be, even if it was a local cop, because I don't know who it was that got told that. How long does it take from that person to know anything that was just said to the snipers or someone else to know that, hey, we got something going on, don't let this man speak?
Yeah, how does the communication happen between, you've got state police, you've got Secret Service, you've got police, how does all of that work at these events?
So I could talk to everybody, and that's something that we started a while back, and D-Day does it as of today. Everybody could talk to everybody. That's one thing. Now, Secret Service shows up, and we fix their radios so they can at least listen in. And just like the one walking up, getting off the bus, we knew within as soon as somebody reported it to us, it wasn't like he was on the roof. They just got off the bus and said, "Hey, this guy's acting weird."
Mm-hmm.
It was communicated within a minute. Somebody was on him. So I hate to say there's a delay. I can only imagine what those counter sniper guys are going through, because back during the day when we worked with them, because they came in early too. They came in 3 or 4 days early. And I can remember we actually had to put their weapons in an armory, and we took all of our keys away, and so they could lock it up overnight. And we couldn't get in there because they didn't want anybody tampering with those weapons, because they were already zeroed in that morning. We took them to a range and zeroed them in. They didn't want but those guys, I asked them at one point, I said, "So when do you have to ask permission to take the shot?"
Yeah.
Now, it's my understanding that they'd had to. I don't know if that, I'm waiting to see the fallout on that or see how that goes. But those guys said no. As soon as the threat pops up, and we can identify it not being a police officer, engaging somebody else, which could happen, another sniper team engaging it, and then they, so no, they would took him out immediately.
So that discussion about a stand down, you would think because of the rumor, and here's another problem I have, at least once you let so much time happen and rumors start, you've made it worse. For them to not have come out and said there was no stand down, and then the thing that was leaked to make it sound like there was a stand down rule, like don't shoot, that should not allow to be continued on. I mean,
it's going to come out.
Yeah.
I heard 80 seconds between the time the officer engaged him up there and the first shot.
Yeah.
I'm keep hearing this 80 seconds had transpired. Somewhere in there, somebody should have made a decision. That's a long time.
Mm-hmm.
I think it is.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, we got a guy on the roof with a rifle.
Yeah.
And they're just waiting for him to pop.
Yeah, but that's the thing. If you hear that alone,
yeah.
Why isn't Trump off the stage then?
That too.
Yeah. Why are we even taking a chance? I mean,
that too.
There's so many things that.
I mean,
But I'm like you, when you're not, like, she's done this interview, and all she did was make it worse.
Oh, I know.
I mean, saying that someone couldn't get up there because of a slope, even the dumbest people know that that's not true.
No, they're trained to be on slopes, upside down, hanging from whatever. I mean, the guys I had up here, you know how slopey it is up there.
Yeah.
I mean, the first team coming up the hill there, they're on that slope that's coming back down to elementary school.
Yeah.
You've got to operate in all those positions. I can't figure out why she said that.
And
I
even,
can't figure out a lot of things.
and even if you said you weren't going to have someone on the roof, you can't have someone stand around the building.
Right.
You can't have multiple people
Yeah.
stand around a building that you decided you couldn't get up on the roof of. I don't understand it.
Everybody should know. Like with our visit, everybody knew their responsibilities. There is no question, no doubt. If I put you, Brian, on watching elementary school, that front door,
Yeah.
that's what you do.
Yes.
That is your
Yeah,
responsibility.
there's no pee breaks. There's no,
No.
no, you're not,
No.
you're not leaving your post.
No. No.
What does your dad say to me hunting all the time? You don't leave your
No.
post.
So the cop, and these are rumors here, so I don't know what and you guys may have known more about the story than I do, but the guy that heard about it, so he went up and may have saved Trump's life because he made him point, and the guy
And
became
hurried,
rushed.
maybe. I don't
Yeah.
know.
So a cop can climb a roof
Yeah.
and then see him and then come back down or fall down,
Yeah.
but he doesn't have anybody else with him. That part I don't understand either.
Well, and I think I heard today that there was actually another officer that was helping him up there. Why didn't you just, if he had a ladder? I've heard a ladder, I've heard air conditioning. Why didn't you just use his ladder?
Yeah.
You know, that the first thing I thought when I heard the officer saw him and engaged, was Evaldi.
That's what I thought.
I mean, I was like,
yes.
do we have to go through this again?
Yeah.
These police
See, I
officers
thought
are
the
taught to
opposite.
engage.
'Cause
No.
I thought he was just trying to duck for cover until he could.
Get his weapon out.
Yeah. But because
I thought of.
I thought he fell.
Yeah, I mean,
I know.
To me, I would hope if somebody saw anybody with a gun up there, they would be up on the roof no matter what.
Oh, I think it's an engaged. Police don't move. Police drop your weapon, and then the next thing, if he doesn't, is a noggin shot.
Yeah.
Sorry, it's
Yeah,
just like
exactly.
No, I agree.
I don't. This thing of us waiting anymore or negotiating, and when you stand, I mean, they had the shooting outside of the Republican convention. It's obvious when you see the video. The guy was lunging at the other guy with a knife. Yes, that's absolutely. You're going to get shot after the police officers are screaming. Drop it.
Yeah.
So good for them. You engage, and I'm sorry. You don't listen. This is what happens. It's not abuse or anything. I would like to go back to one thing.
Sure.
So when she talks about the 30% females, I'll tell you a little story. Not a lot of people know, but when we first took office with Mike Brown at the sheriff's office, there were no females, none. And I was the first one to step up and said, Sheriff, we've got to go find at least 5 qualified females and put one on each shift. We have female problems. They're going to run into female problems. I don't want the male officers to get in trouble.
Exactly.
So it took me about a year, but I will tell you this. I didn't lower any standards. They had to do the same thing. They had to shoot the same scores.
Yeah.
And we fought through it. And, all 5 of those females, there's one still there, and 2 of them's retired, and one's working for another agency. So they're still in the ball game where they played it out.
Yeah.
Those were 5 really good, solid females. And you can do it if you just work with them. You don't have to lower the standards.
Mm-hmm.
And at a certain point, if they can't do it, you have to have that talk with them.
Exactly.
And I've had that talk with the federal female agents.
Yeah.
We've done everything we can.
Well, I so appreciate you coming in today, and you've cleared up some things that questions that I had, and I'm so grateful that you were able to come in. But before you leave, I want to touch on something that I'm just curious about. How does Bedford County in the Bedford area, what's the connection there? Because we seem to have people like yourself that end up in DC somehow, or just recent. The name is the one that's on Governor Youngkin's detail.
Oh, Sonny.
Yeah, Sonny.
Oh,
that was yeah. Is there a connection that?
It's just I don't know if it's it's a path that God has put you on. I'm gonna bring that up because
Sure.
I had no intentions when I went in with Mike Brown of ever leaving.
Right.
He was grooming me to be sheriff, and when I was involved in 9/11, and my buddy from the Secret Service, a bunch of them that I met at D-Day during that visit had moved over to Homeland Security. They started the recruiting process, and that's how I got the call. Hey, we need somebody with your experience to come to DC and play that supervisor's role because we're not getting this. We're not getting the experience we want.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, and I had a long talk with Mike Brown about it, and he came from the feds, so
Okay.
he was retired ATF, and he said, "Hey, look, this is an opportunity you'll never get ever again." And they waived my age. You have to be 37 going to the academy. I was 38.
Okay.
There's a lot of things that they waived for a bunch of us, not only me,
Yeah.
just to get what they wanted in there. And it's just one of those things where it kind of fell in my lap, but I also had the support of my boss,
Mm-hmm.
and which sometimes that doesn't happen. It's like, what really, what does it take to keep you here? It's usually what you hear. And I didn't hear that from him. He's like, go get your federal experience. It's a great opportunity. And it ended up being a great opportunity.
Did you enjoy your time with the federal?
Now, when you're working with retired Secret Service guys, they have their way. So you had to learn their way. And that was a little bit of a tough road at first. But after I pulled my 2 years of so-called, on the street and working the grunt side of it, I was offered an opportunity to go to the Joint Terrorism Task Force in Richmond and work there for 3 years and work terrorism for 89 jurisdictions in Virginia. And I thoroughly, even though it was going back on the street and working cases, I thoroughly enjoyed. And I think we've talked about this before. I was assigned to the FBI, and that's a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths. But I will tell you this: that working at that level, those people aren't like that. These are
Well, that was my question. Is the politics at the top level?
Yes.
Everybody else just works
Yes.
hard like normal.
Yes, especially if
Okay.
you had a political appointee. Like at that time, the Homeland Security Secretary was a political appointee. The TSA director was a political appointee, and they're either attorneys or they're somebody's buddy.
Oh,
They've never
wow.
done the work, so it's just it's frustrating. And then they bring their cronies in, and then it just starts. It makes it so frustrating. With I still talk to my old FBI boss. They're retired on the beach down there, and one was the assistant director, Tacomey, and he couldn't stand the guy when he worked for him because he was an attorney versus an FBI guy that's worked his way through the ranks. And it's sad when you're sitting there scratching your head about all these FISA courts and everything. And I've been involved in FISA courts. I've been involved in wiretapping, and the stuff I had to go through to get that is unbelievable.
Yeah.
I mean, it's and they're on you every week, making sure that you're not violating somebody's rights.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when I first heard about all those violations of violence. I was like, how does this happen? It doesn't happen at that grunt level, at that the first line supervisor level,
Political level.
Oh my God, yeah.
Again, thank you so much for coming
It's
in.
great.
Appreciate it. And I'm so glad that Bedford County has that resource in you. So appreciate it again. Hope to have you back on the program for better circumstances.
Or how about when we find out more about what went on? Have you back? And
I'd love to have you back to have.
And
that
if you want to talk
analysis.
about emergency management, this is the first time that they've taken this out of the fire department and actually made it a standalone, which needed to be done as a full-time position.
Yeah.
And I've been drinking from a fire hose since last June. It's one of those things. It's every day just trying to catch up with what's supposed to be done. So,
Perfect.
But absolutely.
All right. Thank you again.
Thank you so
You're welcome.
Appreciate it.